the shocking moment sailors stumble upon something bone-chilling in the open ocean. The ocean is a mysterious place, and we are far from discovering everything within it. So, from time to time, people sailing in the ocean find the most unbelievable things, ranging from unidentified creatures to mysterious metals. Here are the 20 most amazing discoveries made by sailors in the middle of the ocean. Number 20. Mysterious shipping container. Speaking of unexpected catches, here's another one. In 2023, a group of fishermen sailing off the coast of France discovered a container floating in the middle of the ocean. Now, a shipping container in the middle of the ocean could mean three things. It contained something valuable, something illegal, or it was rubbish. Presuming the shipping container had fallen off a cargo ship, they decided to haul it aboard using ropes. After a bit of struggle, they managed to secure the container and pry it open. What was inside were boxes of brand new iPhones. The gleaming high-tech devices were neatly stacked, still in their packaging, seemingly untouched by the ocean's harsh conditions. Everyone knew just how valuable iPhones were. From the moment they were initially released, they were among the most expensive pieces of technology on the market. Thousands of shipping containers are lost each year due to rough seas and accidents. These containers can drift for months or even years before being washed up on shore or discovered by curious fishermen. However, it's definitely not always that an entire shipment of iPhones gets lost in the waters. But I know what you're thinking. Does finders keepers apply to this loot? Well, maritime salvage laws often dictate that found cargo must be reported to authorities, who then determine its rightful owner. So, even if you find something in the ocean and retrieve it, it's not certain that it will be yours. Number 19. Horseshoe crab. If you're walking along the shore and you stumble upon a shell that looks like this, perhaps you should be cautious. Not because these beings can harm you, but because they're beings that should be respected. Horseshoe crabs are one of the most ancient beings still living on our planet. These incredible animals have been around for over 445 million years, even before dinosaurs roamed the earth. That's right, they're like living fossils. Now, despite their name, horseshoe crabs aren't actually crabs. They're more closely related to spiders and scorpions. Biologists classify them as Chelicerata, a subphylum that includes arachnids. They have hard exoskeletons called carapaces, and their unique horseshoe-shaped bodies give them their name. Aside from their age, these creatures have other amazing characteristics. For one, they have blue blood. Unlike humans, who have iron-based hemoglobin in our blood, crabs have hemocyanin, which is copper-based. This gives their blood a bright blue color. Now, this blood contains limulus amoebocyte lysate, a substance that has helped us ensure the safety of vaccines along with medical devices. Now, aside from their blood, the shells and tails of these beings help them to survive. Their tails, or telsons, might look dangerous, but they're actually used to help the crab flip itself over if it gets turned upside down. However, there are times when they find it difficult to flip themselves back, so if you see a horseshoe crab struggling to right itself, perhaps you can help it with a little nudge. Number 18. Fish discovered in the deepest part of the ocean. Have you ever wondered just what creatures lurk in the deepest parts of the ocean? You don't have to, because recently researchers discovered the deepest living fish, at least the deepest living fish we've recorded thus far. This small creature was found living 26,700 feet in the Mariana Trench. This small creature thriving in the deepest part of the ocean was temporarily nicknamed the ghost fish, due to its ghostly and translucent appearance. It was spotted by the research team aboard the RV Fowler during an expedition aimed at exploring the biology and geology of the world's deepest trench. Snailfish are known for their extraordinary adaptations that allow them to survive in such extreme environments. At these depths, the pressure is over 1,000 times greater than at sea level, and the temperatures hover just above freezing. And so, to survive in this environment, the ghostfish has developed a unique physiology. Its body is incredibly fragile, almost like wet tissue paper, which helps it withstand the immense pressure without being crushed. This tiny creature is just one of the many life forms living in our oceans without our knowledge. As our technology improves, more and more of these creatures will finally be cataloged and documented. Number 17. Washed ashore. In May 2018, locals in the Philippine province of Oriental Mindoro discovered a 20-foot-long hairy carcass washed ashore. It was something they had never seen before. However, it wasn't something unknown by researchers. This mass, covered with shaggy hair, is known as a globster. This term doesn't portray a real creature, but rather it's a term used for unidentified organic masses that wash up on shores. Experts believe the hair surrounding this creature isn't actual hair but rather decomposing muscle fibers. The mass, however, is likely to be a decomposing whale. Number 16. The ghost ship of MV Joyita. On the 3rd of October 1955, MV Joyita sailed from Apia, Samoa, en route to the Tokelau Islands. It was meant to be a short journey lasting only 48 hours, captained by a seasoned sailor, Thomas Henry Dusty Miller, along with 15 crew members and 9 passengers. It was expected to be a smooth sail. However, 2 days passed, and MV Joyita didn't arrive at their destination. On the third day, a massive search operation was launched. It wasn't until weeks later, on November 10, 1955, that the ship was found drifting 600 miles off its intended course by the merchant vessel Tuvalu. The ship was mostly intact, but there wasn't anything on board. It was quite eerie. The ship became a literal ghost ship. It was listing at a severe angle, its decks awash with water, and crucially, it was completely abandoned. The radios were turned to the international distress signal. Clocks were stopped at 10:25, and a doctor's bag was found with bandages. Even more unsettling, the lifeboats were missing, as well as several tons of cargo and navigational equipment. Now, there are several theories as to what happened to the MV Joyita and those aboard. Some believe that Captain Miller perished, leading to the abandonment of the ship. There were also those who believed that a fight might have occurred between the crew, leading to complete chaos. Pirate attacks, Japanese or Soviet involvement, or a natural accident could also be reasons for the ship's abandonment. Despite extensive investigations, the fate of the Joyita's crew and passengers remains one of the ocean's most perplexing mysteries. Misunderstanding, an unfortunate event, or just a series of accidents, the fate of MV Joyita's lost passengers will perhaps forever remain unknown. Number 15. Unexpected find at the oil rig. Now, here's another dog that seemed to have somehow found itself in the middle of the ocean. In a separate incident in April 2019, workers on an oil rig off the coast of Thailand discovered a brown dog a staggering 135 miles from the nearest land. This time, however, it was unknown how the dog reached the middle of the ocean. Nevertheless, the oil rig workers quickly decided they had to save her. They lowered a rope into the water, and Boonrod, as they later named her, meaning survivor in Thai, was pulled to safety. Once on board, the crew gave Boonrod fresh water, food, and a much-needed bath. She spent 2 nights on the oil rig recuperating. The workers then transferred her to an oil vessel that brought her back to shore, where she received a clean bill of health from a veterinarian. Now, don't you worry because one of the rescuers later adopted her. And no, she never had any reckless swimming trips in the ocean again. Number 14. Alien-like creature. Imagine you're taking a leisurely walk on the beach, and you suddenly encounter this. How would you react? If you asked me, I'd probably observe it from afar. This monstrous creature washed ashore just recently on the shores of Oregon, particularly just south of Cannon Beach. But what exactly is this? This alien-like creature is the Pacific football fish, a type of deep-sea anglerfish. These creatures are literally the spawn of the darkness, as they live in the abyss of the ocean at depths of between 2,000 and 3,300 feet. This species is quite rare, having only 31 species recorded worldwide. Small eyes, dark color, sharp jagged teeth. Its appearance is enough to deter any person from approaching it. But there's something more terrifying about these creatures. The way they live is also quite nightmarish. Only female football fish hunt and grow to a significant size. The males, on the other hand, are tiny and lead a very different lifestyle. They attach themselves to the females, fusing their bodies and losing their eyes and internal organs in the process. In return, they get nutrients from the females while providing a way for females to fertilize and produce young. These creatures show just how horrifying it is to live in the abyss. Number 13. Inflated object. In 2016, 36-year-old fisherman Mark Watkins was out fishing in the ocean with his dad south of Perth, Western Australia, when they discovered a massive pink and white sphere in the distance. Thinking they had discovered a capsized boat or a fallen hot air balloon, they decided to go closer, only to discover that their initial guesses were incorrect. What they discovered was the swollen corpse of a whale, fascinating and terrifying at the same time. The whale's unusual appearance was due to the buildup of gases within its body as it decomposed, causing it to float and swell to an enormous size. This isn't something normal. Usually, a whale carcass would sink into the ocean, creating a whale fall. This is crucial for other organisms in the abyss. After all, there are countless of them that rely on falling matter to sustain themselves. Although a whale's body inflating into a ball, while rare, is nothing unheard of, in some cases, if these gas-filled carcasses are punctured or disturbed, they can even explode, releasing a horrific stench and a mess of internal organs, a phenomenon that has been recorded and dreaded by those who have to deal with such remains. When an inflated whale washes ashore, it's a complete nightmare for those living near it, and the cleanup would not only require a lot of manpower but also a lot of budget. Number 12. Unidentified catch. Now, There are a lot of mysterious creatures in the ocean, and who else would know this better than fishermen who spend most of their lives trying to get all of the ocean's blessings? It's not always that sailors encounter unknown creatures in the ocean that are so bizarre they send chills down their spines. When they do, however, it's always the most outlandish creature we've ever seen. In this clip, you can see a group of fishermen in the early 2000s trying their luck. They hoped to catch a net full of fish, but it seemed like something else got in their net, something that we cannot comprehend to this day. You can clearly see that along with fish inside the net was a humanoid being with webbed hands that didn't seem like they belonged to any animal we know, nor did it look like anything human. And so, just what was this creature? There are some speculations that these sailors caught a mermaid or perhaps something similar, half fish, half human. However, there are also those who believe these fishermen were simply part of a hoax orchestrated to stir up a mystery in the ocean. Whether this was a hoax or not remains a mystery to this day. Number 11. Cyclops. I guess there's something about unborn sharks being taken out of their mother's womb. In a separate incident, sailors in the waters of Maluku, Indonesia, discovered a one-eyed shark in a mother shark's belly. Experts claimed that the young one had a condition called cyclopia. Cyclopia is a rare congenital disorder where the embryo forms only one eye instead of two. On top of that, the young shark also had albinism, a condition that causes a lack of pigmentation, giving the shark its milky white color. Now, the fishermen found 3 baby sharks inside the adult, but only one of them had this unique appearance. Unfortunately, the one-eyed baby shark didn't survive long after being discovered. The fishermen, led by 29-year-old Andy, immediately reported their find to local marine authorities, who took the unusual specimen for further studies. Number 10. The Levi Bond Ghost Ship. The Lady Lovibond was a 3-mast schooner that departed from port on February 13, 1748. It was manned by Captain Simon Reed, who was on the boat en route to Portugal along with his beloved bride, Annetta. The journey was meant to be a way for them to spend their honeymoon. However, this romantic getaway ended quite badly, and some believed that the doomed fate of the ship had been foretold. For one, it set sail on a Friday the 13th. To this day, we consider this day to be ominous. What's more, sailors at the time believed that having a woman on board was bad luck. Of course, this is nothing but an illogical superstition today, but at the time, many believed that the Lady Lovibond was meant to sink due to these reasons. However, the real reason behind the doomed journey of the Lovibond was John Rivers, the first mate and former suitor of Annetta. Consumed by jealousy and rage during the celebration, Rivers attacked the crewmen at the wheel and steered the ship directly into the Goodwin Sands, a notorious sandbank. The collision destroyed the Lady Lovibond, and tragically, everyone on board perished. Now, the ship's journey should have ended there. However, 5 decades later, it seemed to have risen back from the dead. On February 13, 1798, the ship was sighted again. Captain James Westlake of the Alden Bridge reported nearly colliding with the Lady Lovibond, only to hear the sounds of celebration emanating from the ghostly vessel. Again, it wasn't the end of the ship. Another 50 years passed, and in 1848, the Lady Lovibond made another spectral appearance. This time, sailors ashore at Deal witnessed the shipwreck, and then it vanished before their eyes. The cycle continued in 1898 when Captain Bull Prestwick described seeing the ship glowing with an eerie green light. The last recorded sighting of the Lady Lovibond occurred in 1948, as anticipated by locals. The ship appeared glowing faintly in the night and then disappeared into the mist. Many gathered in 1998, hoping for another sighting, but the Lady Lovibond did not reappear. The next expected sighting is in 2048. Only then will we know whether this ghost ship is truly haunting the oceans every 5 decades. Number 9. 7 Mysterious Creature. In the small coastal town of Sisal, Mexico, a group of fishermen recently made a startling discovery along the shore. A creature straight out of a nightmare, sporting large fangs and an eerie appearance. The deceased creature was discovered lying in the vegetation in an advanced state of decomposition, making it impossible to figure out just what exactly it was. If you were to guess, what would you think this is? Some believe this creature is a decomposing seal, but others believe it's an unknown creature that has never been seen before. With samples taken to a laboratory, we're yet to hear from researchers about what this creature truly is. Number 8. Tunicorn. Tuna and a unicorn? Such a creature shouldn't exist, but that's how sailors fishing off the west coast of Australia described their catch. They reeled in this massive tuna fish, sporting an unusual and large horn protruding from its head. Now, what exactly did they catch? It was a yellowfin tuna, a species well known for its speed and strength, commonly targeted by both commercial and sport fishermen. Typically, yellowfin tuna are known for their streamlined bodies and vibrant yellow fins. They're built for speed, zipping through the ocean at up to 50 miles per hour, making them one of the most prized catches out there. However, this particular yellowfin tuna was quite different. It had an elongated protrusion that made it look like a small narwhal. However, closer observation revealed that the horn isn't really a normal horn but rather a benign growth or tumor. It can also be a result of some injury that healed in an unusual way or even a genetic mutation. Abnormalities in fish, although rare, do happen after all. Number 7. Tiny Island. Just recently, fishermen off the coast of Sumatra discovered a massive floating greenery. Initially, they thought it was nothing but a massive floating debris, but upon looking at it closer, they realized that they had discovered a tiny island. This tiny chunk of land measured only about 43 square feet. It was filled with several plants, and there wasn't any space for a person to step on. Now, despite being called a tiny island by the locals, we're still unsure just what the floating mass is. More studies are needed to verify just what it is. Number 6. Man stranded at sea. Humans aren't meant to survive in the ocean. That's just a fact. And so, when we're left in the middle of the ocean with nothing, it's most likely that we'd perish. If you find yourself cast away, every single thing you have might be your way to survive. Take the story of this man, for example, Will Franson. Franson was on a solo fishing trip off the coast of New Zealand's North Island when he hooked what he suspected was a marlin. The struggle with the fish caused him to fall overboard, leaving him stranded 55 kilometers away from shore with his boat drifting out of reach. Nighttime fell, and Franson had no way of going back on land. For nearly 24 hours, Franson was at the mercy of the currents. He tried to swim towards the distant Alderman Islands, but the currents thwarted his efforts. 2 hours in the ocean would exhaust anyone. 24 hours would be deadly. When Franson noticed that several fishermen were sailing about 200 meters away from him, he couldn't produce any sound loud enough for them to hear. Time was of the essence. However, every tick on the clock was equivalent to the sailors getting farther away from him. The way he captured their attention is quite astounding. It was using his wristwatch. How Franson used his watch to reflect sunlight and catch the attention of the group. Max White, the skipper of the rescue boat, initially thought they saw a glint of light in the distance. Upon closer inspection, they realized it was Franson desperately waving his arm to signal for help. The trio of fishermen swiftly pulled him aboard and provided him with water before alerting the authorities. The police and emergency services hailed Franson's survival as an absolute miracle, emphasizing how fortunate he was to have been spotted in time. If it wasn't for that wristwatch, who knows what would have happened to Will. Now it's time for today's topic. The Bermuda Triangle. This region of the ocean has long been believed to be the hotbed of supernatural, paranormal, and even extraterrestrial activity. Several years ago, sailors made a chilling discovery in the middle of this ocean. They claimed that their ship almost capsized in this region of the ocean. There are several theories about what goes on in the Bermuda Triangle. Some believe that there are extraterrestrial creatures in this part of the ocean waiting to take away any aircraft or watercraft nearby. Others claim that this part of the ocean is the hotbed of rogue waves and vortexes or whirlpools that swallow ships. And while none of these claims have ever been verified, these theories keep the reputation of the Bermuda Triangle alive. Perhaps you've heard tales or stories about the Bermuda Triangle before. Do you really believe that this part of the ocean truly has something mysterious going on? Let me know in the comments down below. Number 5. Shark with a human face. I don't know about you, but there's really something quite unnerving about this shark's face. I can say that I have a high tolerance for scary things, but there's really something unsettling about this tiny creature's appearance. This is the shark discovered by an Indonesian fisherman named Abdullah Nurin from the village of Pella on Rote Island, while on a routine fishing trip with his brother. They accidentally caught a pregnant shark in their net. The sailors did what they had to do, but while inspecting their catch, they found 3 baby sharks inside the mother's belly, and one of them turned out to be this monstrous creature, a young shark with an eerie resemblance to a human face. This peculiar shark pup had 2 large round eyes set close together. Marine biologists who saw the photo of the shark pup explained that the shark's features were likely due to a congenital defect known as cyclopia. This condition occurs when the developing embryo fails to divide the orbits of the eyes properly, resulting in a fused orbit but still 2 eyes, essentially a birth defect rather than a new or cursed species. Despite this explanation, the locals on the island still urged Nurin to preserve the young shark, believing that it would bring good fortune to its owner. Number 4. 30-foot-long dinosaur. In April 1977, a Japanese fishing trawler, Zuyo Maru, sailed east of Christchurch. Aboard was its crew that was doing their usual business when they suddenly dredged up something extraordinary, a 30-foot-long carcass weighing 1,800 kilograms. It was a rare catch, and it was quickly nicknamed Nessie by the crew. It had a long neck, for large red fins, and an insanely long tail. Needless to say, it was something that looked like a dinosaur. However, as much as the crew wanted to haul the creature on board, there was a tiny problem. Actually, it was a big problem. The said creature smelled so bad, it reeked to high heaven, and the stench was so unbearable that Captain Akira Tanaka made the tough decision to throw it back into the ocean to avoid spoiling the rest of their catch. Even so, they recognized that they might have snagged a bizarre creature. And so before letting this potential goldmine of biological history slip away, the crew snapped photos and collected samples of its skeleton, skin, and fins. These samples were sent to scientists in Yokohama and Tokyo for analysis. The discovery caused a massive stir in Japan, with many believing the sailors had discovered a plesiosaur. The shipping company even ordered its fleet to search for the carcass again, but they never found it. But what did the samples reveal? Well, that's something that's yet to be verified. Scientists who studied the samples were divided. Some thought it was indeed an ancient marine reptile, while others, like Swedish paleontologist Hans Christian Bering, were skeptical. In the end, the scientific community leaned towards the theory that Nessie was likely a decomposing basking shark rather than a dinosaur from the deep. And with the decomposing mass lost forever, we might never be able to verify what the Japanese crew truly caught. Number 3. Dog in the ocean. If there's one thing you wouldn't expect to see in the ocean, it's a lone dog. And yet, in 2021, several boaters found a dog in the middle of the ocean near the Florida coast. Meet Zach Day, the boat's owner, and Brian Krall, who was visiting from California. They were out on a pleasant boat ride when they saw a white dog swimming all alone in the middle of the ocean. At first, they couldn't believe their eyes. There in the middle of the ocean was a lone Jack Russell Terrier struggling against the waves. It seemed like the animal had swum a long way, as there were no other boats around. Without a second thought, Dylan Barron, another friend on the boat, dove into the water to save the dog. They pulled the shivering pup onto the boat and checked his tags. The dog, named Zuko, seemed incredibly relieved to be out of the water and back on a stable surface. Luckily, the tag helped the boaters find Zuko's owners, who were frantic with worry. It turned out that Zuko had unfortunately fallen off his family's boat and had been struggling to stay afloat. His family was overjoyed and tearfully grateful when they were reunited with their beloved pet just 15 minutes later at a nearby inlet. Number 2. Greenland shark. In 2023, fishermen, along with research assistant Devoni Kasana, discovered something unexpected in the Caribbean. Initially, the crew were searching for tiger sharks to tag and monitor. However, Kasana, a research assistant from Florida, noticed that one of the fishermen's catches was something more incredible: a Greenland shark, a species that can live for up to 500 years, making it the longest living vertebrate known to man. Well, that's one unforgettable find. With how rare these creatures are, encountering one Greenland shark in the wilderness is considered incredibly lucky. Number 1. Mermaid in Japan. Centuries ago, sailors in Japan allegedly captured this creature. Despite looking like a combination of several creatures all at once, what you're looking at is actually a mermaid, at least that's what it's called. This creature captured the attention of researchers in 2022 after seeing it in a temple in Okayama Prefecture. This so-called mermaid, about 12 inches long, was believed to be a mythical ningo, a creature from Japanese folklore known for its supposed healing powers and ability to bring longevity. In local lore, it was believed that consuming a part of this creature would grant the individual a longer life. Hopefully, no one dared to try their luck to see if this was true, because modern studies revealed that this creature is neither mermaid nor ningo. Researchers from Kurashiki University of Science and the Arts conducted a series of tests, including CT scans and radiocarbon dating on the specimen, and they discovered that it was nothing but a clever hoax. The alleged mythical being is a patchwork of various materials: a torso made from cloth, paper, and cotton adorned with mermaid hair and fish skin. Its jaw and teeth were from a predatory fish, while its claws were keratin, likely from a real animal. This fake mermaid was likely created during the Edo period, from 1603 to 1868. It was likely sold to affluent individuals who believed in its mythical powers. It was quite easy to fake something at the time. All you need is a convincing story, and most people would believe it. After all, it was a time when everyone was eager to find something new, something never seen before. And while we've debunked the mystery behind this creature today, it still remains a curious artifact for those at the temple. The ocean truly is a mysterious place. If you've had any interesting experiences while sailing, or if you've had any interesting discoveries on the beach, feel free to share them in the comments down below. Also, check out our other cool stuff showing up on the screen right now, and I'll see you in the next video.